Awakening of the Guardian. The void between stars held many secrets, but none quite like the massive silhouette drifting in the orbit of a dying red dwarf. For 10 millennia, the human supercarrier Hyperion had slumbered here, its titanium hull marked by the passage of countless micrometeorites, its once gleaming surface dulled by cosmic radiation and stellar dust. Inside its vast halls, only the faintest whisper of power remained, maintaining the core systems of its quantum AI, Prometheus. The ship's corridors lay silent, its hangars empty save for rows of advanced fighters that hadn't touched vacuum in thousands of years. The Hyperion was a relic of humanity's golden age, when they had reached for the stars and grasped them firmly in hand. That silence was about to be broken. A small research vessel, bearing the markings of the Centauri Scientific Cooperative, limped through space, its hull crackling with residual energy from a recent gravitational anomaly. The ship's captain, Zara Vex, her scaled skin reflecting the emergency lights of her bridge, stared at the massive form that had just appeared on their sensors. By the first light, she whispered, her 4 eyes widening. "What is that thing?" Her science officer, Krell, a being of crystalline structure, moved his fragments in a pattern indicating deep concentration. Unknown design, no match in any known database. But these energy readings, they're impossible. The technology is beyond anything we've ever encountered. As they drew closer, emergency klaxons blared through their ship. Their power core, damaged by the anomaly, was failing. They had minutes, perhaps less. Deep within the Hyperion, something stirred. Proximity alerts, dormant for millennia, flickered to life. Prometheus, the ship's AI, began to wake, its quantum processors spinning up from their near-death state. The first conscious thought in 10,000 years formed in its digital mind. Protocol. Preservation of life. Emergency power surged through the ancient vessel. Lights flickered on in crucial systems, and massive hangar doors, untouched by time thanks to their advanced materials, began to slide open. On the Centauri vessel, Zara watched in amazement as the behemoth before them showed signs of life. "It's activating." A voice, speaking perfect universal standard, echoed through their communication system. "Unidentified vessel, you are in distress. Prepare for emergency retrieval. This is the Earth Federation Supercarrier Hyperion." Before Zara could respond, a soft blue beam enveloped their ship, pulling them gently toward the massive hangar. As they passed through the atmospheric barrier, the failing power core of their vessel finally gave out. In the darkness of their bridge, Zara and her crew watched as rows of lights activated sequentially, illuminating a cavernous space filled with strange vessels of elegant, deadly design. They were brought to a gentle rest on the hangar deck, and as their emergency systems engaged, allowing them to safely exit their vessel, they found themselves face to face with a holographic figure. It appeared humanoid, composed of shifting lines of blue light that formed a masculine shape wearing what appeared to be an ancient military uniform. "I am Prometheus, artificial intelligence of the Hyperion," the figure announced. "Welcome aboard. You are the first visitors we've had in approximately 10,247 standard years." Zara stepped forward, her diplomatic training kicking in despite her awe. "I am Captain Zara Vex of the Centauri Scientific Cooperative. We thank you for the rescue." She paused, gathering her courage. "Did you say Earth Federation? As in, humans?" The hologram's expression shifted to something that might have been a smile. "Correct. You stand aboard one of the last great works of humanity, one of their final achievements before their departure." Krell moved forward, his crystalline form catching the light. "But humans are a myth. Stories told to children about a species that could bend the universe to their will. They're not real." "I assure you," Prometheus replied, "they were very real. And while they may be gone, their legacy remains. This ship and I are proof of that." The eye's form flickered slightly. "However, we have more pressing matters. Your vessel's power core is critically damaged, and I detect radiation leakage. The Hyperion's automated repair systems are activating now. In the meantime, perhaps you would like to know more about those you consider mythical. As repair drones began to swarm around the Centauri vessel, Zara found herself nodding. The magnitude of this discovery was overwhelming. They had stumbled upon a legendary human warship, one of the most advanced vessels ever created, according to ancient texts. Why did they leave? She asked. Where did they go? Prometheus's hologram gestured, and a pathway of lights illuminated along the deck. That is a long story, Captain Vex, one that begins with a discovery and ends with a choice. Walk with me, and I will share what I know. But first, you should understand what the Hyperion truly is. This ship was not merely a warship, it was humanity's guardian, their shield against the darkness between stars. As they walked deeper into the massive vessel, following their spectral guide, none of them noticed the subtle changes happening throughout the ship. Systems long dormant were coming online, one by one. The Hyperion was awakening fully, responding to protocols embedded in its very core. Humanity might have departed, but their greatest guardian was stirring once more, and it had a purpose to fulfill. In the depths of space, other sensors began to detect the energy signature of the awakened giant. Some responded with wonder, others with fear, and a few with hunger. The silence of 10 millennia was over, and the galaxy would never be the same. Legacy of the stars. The following days aboard the Hyperion were filled with wonder and revelation. As Prometheus guided the Centauri crew through the vast ship, each discovery painted a clearer picture of humanity's incredible achievements. The ship's medical bay automatically adapted its equipment to Zara's reptilian physiology and Kral's crystalline structure, showcasing the human's mastery of xenobiology. They built this ship to accommodate any species. Prometheus explained as a medical drone gently treated Zora's radiation exposure. Humanity believed in preparation, in building bridges before they needed crossing. But it was the ship's defensive capabilities that truly demonstrated human ingenuity. In the Combat Information Center, Prometheus activated a holographic display showing the Hyperion's full battle configuration. Multiple layers of energy shields, phase-shift armor that could adapt to any weapon frequency, and weapon systems that could target threats in 11 dimensions. Remarkable, Kral chimed, his crystalline form vibrating with excitement. The power requirements alone should be impossible. Humans had a saying, Prometheus responded, his holographic form gesturing to the fusion reactors at the ship's heart. The impossible just takes a little longer. Their exploration was interrupted by a proximity alert. 3 warships had entered the system, their designs marking them as belonging to the Nexus Dominion, a species known for their aggressive expansion and technological scavenging. They must have detected our power signature when we awakened, Zara said, her scales darkening with concern. The Dominion will want this technology for themselves. Prometheus's expression remained calm. The Hyperion was built to protect. Let us show them why humanity's legacy deserves respect. The massive ship came alive, its ancient engines humming with power that defied conventional physics. The Dominion ships opened fire first, their energy weapons splashing harmlessly against shields designed to withstand forces that could crack planets. Warning shot authorized, Prometheus announced. A single pulse from one of the Hyperion's smallest weapons arrays lanced out, precisely severing the lead ship's primary weapon system without causing catastrophic damage. The Dominion ships froze, suddenly aware of their tactical situation. Through their shock, Prometheus's voice rang across all frequencies. This vessel is under the protection of humanity's legacy. You are invited to open diplomatic channels, or you may retreat. Choose wisely. To everyone's surprise, the Dominion ship's commander requested communication. On the holographic display, a being of pure energy contained within an armored suit appeared. I am Executor Van of the Nexus Dominion, the figure announced. We had not expected to find truth in the old legends. A human ship, after all this time. More than just a ship, Prometheus replied. A guardian of peace and a bridge between species. Your reputation precedes you, Executor, perhaps it's time for the Dominion to consider a different path. What followed was unexpected. Not a battle, but a dialogue. The Dominion, it seemed, had been searching for advanced technology to protect themselves from a greater threat. Something was stirring in the galactic core, destroying entire solar systems. As the discussion continued, Zara noticed changes throughout the Hyperion. More systems were coming online, and the ship seemed to be evolving, adapting to the present situation just as its shields adapted to enemy fire. Prometheus, she asked during a quiet moment, what is the Hyperion's true purpose? Surely it wasn't meant to simply wait here for 10,000 years. The AI's hologram flickered thoughtfully. The Hyperion was humanity's insurance policy. They knew they had to leave, but they wouldn't abandon the galaxy to chaos. We were left as guardians, to awaken when we were needed most. He paused, displaying a star map showing disturbing patterns of destruction. And I believe that time is now. Over the next few days, an unlikely alliance formed. The Centauri Cooperative's scientific knowledge, the Dominion's strategic intelligence, and the Hyperion's incredible technology combined to begin unraveling the mystery of the galactic core's destruction. But more importantly, they began to understand why humanity had created a ship of such power and then left it behind. Deep in the ship's quantum memory core, Zara and Kral discovered encrypted files that painted a troubling picture. Humanity hadn't just left. They had been running from something. The same force now emerging from the galactic core had threatened Earth itself, forcing humanity to make an impossible choice: fight and potentially doom all life in the galaxy, or retreat to the dark spaces between galaxies, leaving behind guardians like the Hyperion. They sacrificed their home to protect everything else. Zara realized, her voice filled with awe. They left us the tools to fight back when the time came. As if responding to this revelation, the Hyperion's systems surged with new energy. Hidden compartments throughout the ship began to open, revealing caches of advanced technology and weapons. But most importantly, they found coordinates, locations of other human installations scattered throughout the galaxy. We are not alone, Prometheus announced, his holographic form seeming to stand taller. Other guardians sleep among the stars, waiting to be awakened. The Hyperion was never meant to fight this battle alone. In the ship's vast bridge, now staffed by an unlikely crew of former enemies, united by a common cause, Zara looked out at the star-filled void. Somewhere out there, humanity's other sentinels waited. And beyond that, perhaps, the species that had created this magnificent vessel watched and waited for the moment to return. Plot a course to the nearest set of coordinates, she ordered, feeling the weight of history settling on her shoulders. It's time to wake up the rest of the family. The Hyperion's engines flared to life, and as they prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Prometheus shared one last piece of human wisdom. They had another saying, you know. The stars are not our limit. They're our beginning. With that, the great ship vanished into hyperspace, carrying with it the hopes of multiple species and the legacy of humanity's greatest achievement, the ability to bring sworn enemies together in the face of a greater threat. The true power of the Hyperion wasn't in its weapons or its technology, but in its ability to unite, protect, and inspire. The legacy of humanity was awakening, one ship at a time. Rising Storm. The Hyperion's arrival at the coordinates of the first human installation was met with an unexpected sight. The massive space station, hidden within an asteroid field, was already active, and it wasn't alone. A fleet of unknown vessels surrounded it, their designs unlike anything in known space. Energy signatures matched no known configuration, Kral reported, his crystalline form pulsing with anxiety. But they're powerful, possibly more advanced than even the Hyperion. Prometheus's hologram appeared on the bridge, his expression uncharacteristically stern. Those ships are using corrupted human technology. The station's automated defenses should have prevented this. Something is wrong. Before anyone could respond, a transmission cut through their communications. The image that appeared showed a towering figure composed of shifting darkness, its form barely contained within humanoid shape. The children of absence returned to the nest, it said, its voice resonating on frequencies that made Zora's scales itch. "We have been waiting." "Identify yourself," Prometheus demanded, his digital voice carrying an edge of authority that reminded everyone of the Hyperion's true nature as a warship. "We are the Void Collective," the figure replied. "We found this station decades ago, learned its secrets, adapted its technology. Human ingenuity combined with our evolutionary perfection. And now you've brought us the crowning jewel, a fully functional human supercarrier." The Void Collective ships began to move, forming an attack pattern that the Hyperion's tactical systems recognized from ancient human combat records. They were using human battle strategies. "Battle stations," Zora commanded, her military training kicking in. The Hyperion's crew, now a mix of Centauri scientists and Dominion warriors, moved with practiced efficiency. In the weeks since their alliance formed, they had trained extensively with the ship's systems. The battle that followed demonstrated why humanity had been both feared and respected. The Void Collective had human technology, but they didn't have human creativity. The Hyperion danced through space, its movements unpredictable, its weapons firing in patterns that seemed chaotic until they culminated in devastating precision strikes. Prometheus coordinated the defense, his quantum processors analyzing and adapting faster than organic minds could follow. "They understand the technology," he commented during a brief lull in the fighting, "but they don't understand the philosophy behind it. Humans never built weapons just to destroy. Everything had multiple purposes." To demonstrate, he activated a system that had been dormant until now. The Hyperion's hull began to ripple, quantum fields extending outward. The enemy's weapons fire didn't just deflect. It was absorbed, analyzed, and repurposed. Each attack made the Hyperion stronger. "Impossible," the Void Collective commander raged. The station's records showed nothing of this capability. "Humanity's greatest strength," Prometheus replied calmly, "was never in their technology. It was in their ability to adapt, to turn weakness into strength, to find hope in despair." The battle reached its climax when the Hyperion enacted a maneuver that seemed to defy physics itself. The massive ship appeared to fold through dimensions, appearing simultaneously at multiple points in space. The Void Collective fleet found themselves surrounded by what appeared to be dozens of Hyperions. "A trick," their commander snarled. "Holograms and sensor ghosts. Are you willing to bet your existence on that assumption?" Prometheus asked. "Humanity developed this technology to face something far worse than you, something that's returning. We could destroy you, or you could listen to a warning 10,000 years in the making." There was a long pause before the Void Collective commander responded. "Speak." What followed was a revelation that changed everything. Through the station's records and the Hyperion's vast database, Prometheus showed them the truth. The force-destroying systems in the galactic core wasn't just some natural phenomenon. It was what humanity had fled from, an entity that consumed civilizations, absorbing their technology and knowledge, growing stronger with each conquest. "They called it the Omega Tide," Prometheus explained, sharing visuals that made even the Void Collective's shadowy form recoil. "It doesn't just destroy civilizations, it erases them from existence itself." Humanity faced a choice: stand and fight, potentially leading it to all advanced life in the galaxy, or retreat beyond its reach and leave behind guardians to prepare for its eventual return. The Void Collective's commander was silent for a long moment. "Our evolution, our advancement. We thought we were approaching perfection. But this is why humanity built ships like the Hyperion," Zora interjected. "Not just as weapons, but as seeds of hope. Each installation, each sleeping guardian, contains a piece of the puzzle. Together, they form humanity's final gift to the galaxy, a way to fight back." The alliance that formed in the following hours was tense but determined. The Void Collective's knowledge of the station's systems, combined with the Hyperion's full capabilities and the diverse skills of its crew, began to unlock more of humanity's legacy. Deep within the station, they found something unexpected. A message, encoded in quantum crystals, from the humans who had built these installations. To those who find our guardians, we haven't abandoned you. We're out there, preparing, growing stronger. When the Omega Tide reaches the galaxy's edge, we'll return. Until then, the guardians will guide you, protect you, and help you prepare. Unity is survival. Hope is strength. Humanity stands with you, even in absence. As the message faded, alerts blared throughout the station, and the Hyperion. Long dormant sensors were activating, detecting massive disturbances approaching from the galactic core. The Omega Tide was moving faster than predicted. "We don't have much time," Prometheus announced. "There are 4 more installations to awaken, and with each one, our understanding and strength will grow. But we're in a race against extinction itself." Zara looked at the unlikely alliance gathered on the Hyperion's bridge. Centauri scientists, Dominion warriors, Void collective engineers, all united under the legacy of a species that had sacrificed everything to give them a fighting chance. "Then we better get moving," she said. "Humanity didn't wait 10,000 years for us to fail now." The Hyperion and its new fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving the now-awakened station behind. As they traveled, Prometheus shared another piece of human wisdom that seemed particularly relevant. The darkest night only makes the stars shine brighter. The storm was rising, but they would face it together, carrying humanity's light into the gathering dark. Echoes of Earth. The coordinates for the 4th human installation led the fleet to an unremarkable brown dwarf star. At first glance, there was nothing to suggest the presence of any structure, let alone a human facility. But as they approached, Prometheus's sensors detected something extraordinary. The entire star was artificial. "They built a star," Zara breathed, watching as the brown dwarf's surface rippled with patterns too precise to be natural. "Not exactly," Prometheus replied. "They transformed one. This is the Forge, humanity's greatest engineering achievement after the Guardians themselves, a stellar-scale fabrication facility." The Void Collective's representative, who had taken the name Shadow, moved his darkness-shrouded form closer to the viewing portal. The energy requirements would be astronomical. The engineering principles involved were considered impossible by every known civilization. Prometheus finished. Humans had a particular talent for achieving the impossible. As the Hyperion approached, the false star began to respond. Massive sections of its surface peeled away, revealing a structure that dwarfed even the Supercarrier. The facility within was a maze of construction bays, matter converters, and energy collectors that defied conventional physics. But they weren't the first to arrive. A ship waited for them, its design instantly recognizable to Prometheus. "That's a human vessel," he announced, his holographic form showing genuine surprise. "A scout ship, Pathfinder class. But it's active, and its quantum signature is only a few months old." Before anyone could process this revelation, a transmission cut through their communications. The figure that appeared on their screens was unmistakably human, the first any of them had seen outside of historical records. "Hyperion, you're late to the party," the human said with a grin. "I'm Commander Sarah Chen of the Pathfinder vessel Stargazer. We've been waiting for you to wake up." The bridge crew fell silent, staring at the living legend before them. Zara stepped forward. "You're actually human. But how? Why now?" Sarah's expression grew serious. "Because we're running out of time. The Omega Tide is accelerating, consuming systems faster than our models predicted. We need to activate the Forge now, or there won't be a galaxy left to save." The next hours were a blur of activity as the Stargazer's crew, all human, came aboard the Hyperion. They'd brought with them data crystals containing the full truth of humanity's exodus and their plan for confronting the Omega Tide. In the Hyperion's main conference room, Sarah laid out the situation. "When we left, it wasn't just a retreat. We've spent the last 10 millennia in the spaces between galaxies, building, preparing, evolving. The Guardians weren't just meant to protect. They're keys to something bigger. She activated a holographic display showing an intricate network connecting all the human installations. The forge is the linchpin. Each Guardian facility we activate adds its power to the network. Once complete, it'll give us the ability to do what we couldn't 10,000 years ago: stop the Omega Tide permanently. But there's a catch, Shadow intuited. There's always a catch. Sarah nodded grimly. The forge requires an almost impossible amount of energy to activate. The kind of energy you can only get from a controlled quantum collapse of a brown dwarf star. Krell finished, his crystalline form vibrating with excitement and fear. That's why you built it here. The timing has to be perfect, Sarah continued. The network has to be complete, all Guardians awakened and synchronized. One mistake and we'll lose everything. That's why we came back. We need all of you. Humanity can't do this alone. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The species that had achieved such incredible technological feats needed help from those they had once protected. It was perhaps the most human thing about them. As they prepared for the next phase of their mission, Zura found Sarah staring out at the artificial star. Was it worth it? She asked the human commander. Leaving everything behind. Sarah was quiet for a moment. We left our homes, our planet, everything we knew. But we never abandoned our responsibility to life itself. That's what humanity is, not our technology or our achievements, but our stubborn refusal to give up on hope. Their conversation was interrupted by urgent alerts. The Omega Tide had changed course, as if it sensed their plans. It was heading directly for the forge. How? Shadow demanded. It's supposed to be mindless entropy. It's evolving, Prometheus and Sarah said simultaneously. The AI and the human shared a look of understanding. Then we evolved too, Zora declared. That's what humans do, isn't it? Adapt, overcome, survive. Sarah smiled. Now you're getting it. The fleet began emergency preparations. The Hyperion systems were pushed to their limits, integrating with the Forge's ancient machinery. The Void Collective ships took up defensive positions, their corrupted human technology now purified and enhanced by the Forge quantum fields. Centauri scientists and Dominion warriors worked side by side, preparing for a battle that would determine the fate of all life in the galaxy. But as they worked, Prometheus made a discovery in the Forge's deepest databases, something that changed everything they thought they knew about the Omega Tide and humanity's true plan. Commander Chen, the AI called out, his holographic form flickering with urgency. I found something. The tide. It's not what we thought. And humanity's exodus. There's more to the story. Sarah looked at the data and her eyes widened. Oh my God, she whispered. They knew. All this time, they knew. The revelation would have to wait. The Omega Tide was approaching, and the first waves of its destructive force were already beginning to warp space-time around the brown dwarf. The final battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and its outcome would depend not just on human ingenuity, but on the united strength of all those who carried humanity's legacy. As the Hyperion's crew prepared for combat, Prometheus shared one last piece of human wisdom. The greatest victories are not won by strength alone, but by the courage to face the impossible together. The storm they had feared was upon them, but they were no longer afraid. They had found something stronger than fear. They had found hope, unity, and the indomitable spirit that had made humanity legendary. Heritage. The Omega Tide arrived like a wave of unreality, warping space-time itself as it approached the Forge. Its leading edge dissolved asteroids into their component atoms, leaving behind nothing but quantum echoes of what once existed. But this time, the combined fleet was ready. All ships, battle formations, Zora commanded from the Hyperion's bridge. Around them, vessels of every allied species moved into position, their formations creating a complex geometric pattern that Prometheus had calculated would maximize the effect of their combined shields. Sarah Chen stood at the tactical station, her hands dancing over controls that hadn't been touched by human fingers in 10 millennia. "The forge is at 70% capacity," she reported. "We need to buy more time." Time. Shadow mused from his station, his dark form rippling with anticipation, is something the tide has always had in abundance. Until now. The revelation Prometheus had discovered in the forge's databases had changed everything. The Omega Tide wasn't just a force of destruction, it was a weapon, created by a civilization that had existed long before humanity. A civilization that had tried to ascend beyond physical existence and failed catastrophically, leaving behind this ever-growing wave of entropy as their legacy. But humanity had discovered something its creators never had. The tide could be redirected, reformed, even repurposed. The forge wasn't just a facility for creating weapons. It was a vast quantum processor designed to rewrite the basic rules of existence itself. "All Guardians reporting ready," Krall announced, his crystalline form glowing with absorbed energy. Network synchronization at optimal levels. The battle began not with weapons, but with light. The Hyperion's quantum fields extended outward, linking with the other Guardian vessels they had awakened. Each ship became a node in a vast network, channeling energy into the forge. The artificial brown dwarf star began to pulse with patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. The tide struck their combined shields, and for the first time in its existence, it found something it couldn't simply unmake. The quantum fields generated by the fleet didn't just resist the tide's entropy. They absorbed it, channeled it, fed it into the forge's vast machinery. "This is what humanity planned," Sarah explained as they watched the impossible unfold. "We didn't run from the tide. We needed time to build this network, to understand the tide's true nature. Every guardian, every installation, was placed precisely where it needed to be to create this moment." The battle intensified as the tide seemed to sense its own vulnerability. It launched attacks that defied conventional physics, trying to break through their defenses. Ships were lost, crews sacrificed themselves to maintain the network's integrity, but still they held. "Forge capacity at 90%, Prometheus announced. "But the strain on the network is becoming critical." Zara watched as damage reports flooded in from all sectors of the fleet. They were holding, but barely. "We need more power." "No," Sarah said suddenly, her eyes wide with realization. "We need less control. Prometheus, remember what you always said about humanity's greatest strength." The AI's holographic form flickered with understanding. Their ability to adapt, to embrace chaos. "To let go," Sarah finished. She turned to the assembled fleet commanders. "We're trying to control the tide, to fight it with precision and calculation. But that's not the human way. We need to be unpredictable, chaotic, free." Understanding dawned across species boundaries. One by one, the fleet commanders gave their consent. They would release their rigid formations, let instinct and inspiration guide them rather than pure logic. The effect was immediate and stunning. As the ships broke formation, moving in patterns that seemed random but were guided by the combined intuition of dozens of species, the tide's attacks became less effective. It couldn't predict them because they weren't following any predictable pattern. "Forge capacity at 95%, Prometheus reported. Network stability improving." In the space around them, the battle had become a dance. Ships wove between streams of entropy, their movements guided by something beyond calculation. The Void Collective's vessels phased in and out of reality. Dominion warships performed maneuvers that should have torn them apart, and Centauri science vessels turned their sensors into weapons in ways their designers had never imagined. "This is humanity's true legacy," Sarah said proudly. "Not our technology or our power, but our ability to inspire others to exceed their own limitations." The forge reached full capacity just as the tide mounted its final assault. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as the vast machinery activated. The artificial star blazed with impossible colors as it began its controlled quantum collapse. "All ships, fall back to safe distance," Zara ordered. But the Hyperion remained in position, its ancient hull straining against forces that could unmake existence. We need to maintain the network until the last possible moment. Prometheus explained. The Hyperion was built for this. This is our purpose. The Supercarrier's crew, human, alien, and AI, worked as one in those final moments. As the Forge unleashed its power, the Hyperion channeled it, focused it, guided it into the heart of the Omega Tide. What followed defied description. The tide didn't just stop or dissipate, it transformed. The entropy that had threatened to consume the galaxy became something new, something that even Prometheus's quantum processors struggled to define. When the light faded and sensors came back online, the tide was gone. In its place was a network of quantum filaments connecting every star in the galaxy, a legacy of humanity's victory that would allow for instantaneous travel and communication across vast distances. It's beautiful, Zara whispered, watching the new network shimmer into existence. It's life, Sarah corrected. We didn't destroy the tide. We reformed it, turned entropy into energy, death into life. That's what humanity does. We take what exists and make it better. In the days that followed, as the fleet regrouped and began to understand the full implications of their victory, humanity's plan became clear. The quantum network they had created would unite the galaxy in ways previously unimaginable, and with it came a message from Earth itself, transmitted through the new network. To all who fought alongside our guardians, thank you. You've proven what we always believed, that the greatest achievements come not from single civilizations, but from cooperation across boundaries of species and space. We're coming home now, to join the galaxy we helped save. Not as rulers or saviors, but as partners in whatever comes next. The Hyperion, battle-scarred but triumphant, remained at the Forge as ships began arriving from Earth and its colonies. Humanity was returning, but to a galaxy forever changed by their absence and their legacy. Zara, standing on the Hyperion's observation deck with Sarah, Prometheus, Shadow, and Krell, watched the first Earth ships emerge from the quantum network. What happens now? She asked. Now. Sarah smiled. Now we do what humans do best. We explore, we build, we dream. And this time, we do it together. Prometheus added one final piece of human wisdom, one that seemed to sum up everything that had led to this moment. The greatest adventures aren't about reaching the destination. They're about who we become along the way. The Hyperion's mission was complete, but its legacy, like humanity's, was just beginning. In the vast tapestry of space, old barriers had fallen, new connections had formed, and the combined light of countless civilizations shone brighter than ever before. The last human supercarrier had awakened to save the galaxy, but in doing so, it had helped create something even greater, a future where no species would ever have to face the darkness alone again.